Welcome to Mentoring Moments. Mentoring Moments is a sub-series of the E-commerce Edge podcast. It is composed of clips taken from Jason's one-to-one and group mentorship sessions. Nicolette McIntyre from Milked Media, welcome to the podcast today.
Hi, Jason. Great to meet you. Glad I could be a guest on your show.
It's super cool to have you along for the ride with me today as well. And you said you're based in Costa Mesa in Orange County, and I grew up in Riverside, which is about
Yeah.
40 minutes away from where you are right now. So you definitely have some of the best weather in the United States where you're based.
That is true. Yeah, you can't beat it. Every time I think of moving to Texas or
Or
another
Florida.
state, I'm like, it's too hot. It's going to be too hot or too cold. You can't beat the weather here.
Yeah, I tell you, it's kept a lot of people captive in California over the years because it's if you've grown up with that kind of weather, it's certainly hard to pass it by. I'm very lucky that in here in Pueblo City, Mexico, we sit at about 2,000 meters of elevation, so our weather is very much like San Diego, and so we don't get
hmm
extremes of heat or cold, but we don't get a lot of rain here either. We just don't have a tremendous amount of humidity or rain. So yeah, you can find it in other parts of the world, but it's if you've grown up there, it's certainly hard to leave it behind. That's for sure. You wouldn't want to move to I don't know, you wouldn't want to move to Maine or something like that, would you?
It sounds charming, but I don't know if I would actually survive. No.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Listen, why don't you walk us through how you came to be in this beautiful space of digital e-commerce, digital marketing, all things digital. How did you come to be in this digital world to begin with?
Yeah, for sure. Me and my business partner came together at the same time, just wanting to start our own thing. And we started with what we knew, which was scrolling on Instagram. That was probably almost 10 years ago now, but it just eventually evolved into what it is today by just trying out different things in that world. We have offered everything from organic social to branding, influencer management, and where we really found our niche and our expertise. What we really excelled at was the digital marketing aspect with the paid ads, email marketing, and specifically in e-commerce, fashion, beauty, jewelry, lifestyle brands like that. Just because not only is it like our demographic, it was something that we really enjoyed doing, but also it just aligned with our background, especially mine. I come from fashion. I worked as a designer, stylist, for my entire career, basically. So before that, we were, like I said, we were offering all these things. And when we decided to niche down, that breaking point was when we were taking on a lot of just local clients. So we had a yoga studio, a mattress company, or a local mattress store. It wasn't always as glamorous as it looks, but that was like the breaking point of like, all right, this isn't bringing us joy. Let's niche down to what we know how to do, what we know, just what we know. And that's where we excelled. And at that time, it was around right when COVID hit. So, like 2019, 20, and then 2020 hit. And it really excelled that decision for us. That's how we came to be today. And since then, we've grown our team from just me and Krista, my business partner, to a team of 10 and totally remote. So we have employees all over the country, and it just makes for a really great, diverse team. And we still just get to stay we're really close knit. And even though we're remote, we still are know each other very personally. So that's special.
And when you decided to start your agency, what made you think that you could be differentiated? What made you think, hey, we can, sure, there's 1,000 agencies, and as somebody who has spent many years in agency land, I know exactly how complex agency life can be. Client service is very difficult. It's very painful. You do lots of long hours. You have a big commitment to not only your team, but to your clients' teams. And so you're
Mhm.
carrying a lot of weight on behalf of your clients. If you care, if you don't care, then you don't feel it at all. But if you do care,
Right.
then you feel the weight and the pressure of helping the businesses that you work with succeed. And that's a high stakes game. It's very
Yeah.
competitive. The agency space is massively competitive. There's tens of thousands of agencies across the United States, and there's
Mhm.
several thousand agencies just in California alone. And so it feels like there's an agency on every single corner. And I feel like you almost have to be a little bit of a glutton for punishment if you decide to go into agency work, because it is just hard. And if you do a really great job, and you can sometimes work yourself out of a job. If you make these businesses super successful, then they sometimes think, oh, now we can take this in-house. We can hire a couple of in-house people, run paid and social and influencer marketing, and then we don't need our agency anymore, or we'll slowly peel off more and more slices that we're going to take in-house if you help a brand be successful. And so you're in a position where kind of every month when you're doing your reporting back to the client, you have to justify your existence, and you have to justify why they continue to pay you to do what you do. And so there is this sense that, am I living on borrowed time? And I've got this challenge where I've got to connect the work that I'm doing and the value that I'm bringing in a
Mhm.
way that's contextually relevant to my client, actually matters to them, and to where they recognize that value, and the value that we bring is so heavily outweighs the cost that they pay us, that it becomes a no-brainer to stay with us over the long term. And so what made you think when you first started your agency that, hey, I think we can do this better in our niche than maybe anyone else, or at least in our
Mhm.
region or in our area, we can do it better than anybody else. We think we can carve out a niche that we can win in without being crucified by the existing competition in the marketplace. And then, of course, you were heading into a time that was, when you first started up your agency, you were heading into a time that was really unstable in the market. I know, because I was helping to run an agency at the time COVID hit, and we were an e-commerce
Yeah.
development agency. And I remember that first week when New Zealand, at the time, because it was an agency in New Zealand, when New Zealand went into full-blown red lockdown and nobody could leave their house, every single one of our in-flight clients called us and said, we are putting everything on hold, everything.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so literally our revenue stopped overnight. Literally, we went from hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in revenue to zero in the span of less than a week. Now, luckily, less than a month after that, or less than 2 months after that, everybody was back and then some. And then they wanted to accelerate timelines because they knew everybody was going to be stuck at home and buying online. And so it turned around pretty quick. But I tell you, it was a pretty scary moment there for 30 to
Mhm.
60 days when you go, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make payroll next month because of all the uncertainty in the market. And so you were building a startup at the same time the market was going into uncertainty. It must have felt a little disconcerting.
Yeah, I for sure. But like I said, it actually excelled our business. Luckily at that time it was just me and Krista. So we didn't have a whole team to really worry about yet. But I think we're very good at talking clients off the ledge sometimes. And I definitely think that came into play during that time of, hey, you got to just wait it out for a few weeks. Let's see what happens. And I really think when, even today, looking at your profitability, or I think something that clients really get stuck on is their ROAS. And we have clients that are in the account every day just nitpicking, oh, we were down today, and but yesterday we were up, and do we need to adjust spend, and kind of get a little frantic. And really you have to take a step back when looking at the success of an account, because really it's a bid strategy, right? When you're talking about ads and kind of any sort of paid market, things fluctuate. So yeah, I think just being able to educate our clients on that, on not just getting stuck on a certain day and time and having kind of tunnel vision. We really try and train our clients to look at the bigger picture and more holistic picture. And because at the end of the day, we're all here to make money, right? And so what we can do for them is say, hey, let us do our job. We know what we're doing. I promise. Been doing this for a minute. And we have a great team. We fully trust our team. I couldn't imagine not having our team here. We have really great employees. Probably know a little bit more than me, to be honest, on some things. But yeah, I think you really got to take a step back and look at the whole picture. You got to give it time. You can't, while you want to be flexible and able to change your strategy or change whatever it is, um, quickly, you can't have tunnel vision. You gotta take a step back. Take a
And
step back from the ledge, okay? It's gonna be okay.
yeah, absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. And what do you say to clients that maybe when they come to you, maybe they are very marketing channel dependent? Maybe they've
Mhm.
historically done super well on Google ads, or maybe they have
Yeah,
historically done super well on Meta ads, or maybe they've done super well on Amazon PPC, or they've done super well on organic or maybe influencer marketing.
yeah.
And oftentimes I find I don't work in retail anymore, and it's super interesting to be working totally in B2B e-commerce now. But when I did work for the first half plus of my career, I was working almost exclusively with retailers. And they almost always, even when they came to us as a development agency to do work for them, they almost always had an over reliance on at least one marketing channel, right? In other words, if that marketing channel went away tomorrow, they would be dead. Literally would be dead.
Mm,
Their entire acquisition machine was heavily reliant on one or two channels. Now that if I was in their shoes as a retailer, that would have given me the absolute shits. I would have been like, okay, we have got to, it's as an agency provider, you never want typically one client to constitute more than about 20% of your revenue. It's the exact same thing. If we're
yeah.
like, as a consultant, if I have one client that constitutes 50% of my revenue, that is terrifying, right? Because if that client decides to go another
Right.
direction or whatever the case may be, then 50% of revenue just walked out the door. And it's the same way with a retailer who is overly, and maybe they're overly dependent on their physical retail stores, because we know that
Mhm.
over
Mhm.
80% of retail spend still happens in physical retail stores. So the reality is a lot of retailers are so dependent on their physical retail stores that if they start to underperform, they are in deep doo-doo. And so what
Mhm.
happens when you're doing that initial audit, when a client comes to you and says, look, we need some help. We either need to help scaling, or we need help with channels that we don't play with today, or we need help looking more holistically at our strategy, not only from a sales channel strategy, but from a marketing channel strategy. When someone comes to you and they have this concentration of risk, what are the
Mhm.
kinds of conversations you have to have with them to get them out of that spot?
Yeah, so that's definitely one of the reasons why we offer all of the services that we do offer, where it's not just one, because, like you said, you can't just rely on one channel to be the backbone of your revenue. And with our most successful clients, we do see them across the board with success with paid ads, Google, email, influencer, organic. It's their content, UGC. There's so many moving parts to a successful brand now. And it's our most successful clients who show up in all of the channels equally and have that distribution of revenue. We have a couple clients with brick and mortar as well. So always taking that into consideration. Or if somebody has really heavily reliant on wholesale, we have to take that into account too when they come to us and say, okay, I really want to change my strategy and move away from depending on wholesale or my brick and mortar. So yeah, we really consider where they're at in their business and then recommend, okay, we need the whole picture here. You got to do a little bit of everything. You got to be willing to invest. And another important part is having either the owner or the founder really show up for their brand, because they're the educator. They know the brand the best. They know all the ins and outs of their business. So really having that, again, holistic approach to all of your channels. I think you kind of hit it on the head there. And again, that's why we offer all of the services that we offer, because they all work so well in tandem together. And then also just making sure that not just like not just being a provider for those services for our brands, but also being an advisor of, hey, like this is what we see successful brands do. You should probably be doing it. While
Mhm.
we may not offer those services, we have partners and recommendations to give those clients that need that support. But yeah, we definitely see the whole holistic view there.
And what has AI started to impact your business both internally, externally, what clients expect from you, the velocity they
Mhm.
expect from you, the volume of creative that you can put out at scale across so many different channels and customized for those
Yeah.
channels? Where does AI play in your business today, and where does it typically play in your clients' businesses today?
Sure. We use a lot of AI for our internal systems and processes. It's changing so fast. It literally, there's something new coming out every day. My business partner has super nerded out on it and really has improved our business just in the last couple months of how we operate, how we do our bid strategies, things like that. And yeah, she's just constantly has her nose in it. She loves that stuff. She's a numbers person. I'm more of the creative, so it's a little bit harder for me to wrap my mind around it. But we definitely have seen it improve our business and our ability to basically do more work faster. So having that integrated into not just internally but externally as well, to provide our clients a better experience has definitely, it's there. And again, it's just, it changes every day, so there's always something new to learn. There's always some new integration. We use, I think right now we're using Claude the most, and that really, and has, I think it has the most integrations with the platforms that we use internally. So I would highly, if you're an agency or a brand or whatever business you have, it's inevitable and you have to learn it. But there's definitely a lot of resources out there to help people really integrate it into their business.
And what's your personal AI of choice on a daily basis? Do you still use Google
Yeah.
search, or have you completely gone to Gemini or Grok or Claude or Manus, or have you like, because obviously we've moved away from pure chat bots now to more
Right.
action agent orientated systems, Perplexity Computer, Manus, etc. So what is your daily weapon of choice from an AI perspective?
Claude.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we have our
Claude's
whole
your thing.
team, almost our whole team on Claude at this point. Yeah.
So you've got a corporate membership. Love it, love it. And
Yeah.
when you think about the future of the world of agency work and your place in it, how do you think? Because certainly for me, there's not a single AI on the planet right now that has my 26 years of experience in it. It's
Sure.
just not there. It's in here,
Yeah.
right? Now,
Yeah.
some of it's been codified in our framework, some of it's been codified in our collateral, some of it's been codified in systems and processes, of course. But still, my ability to connect the dots on behalf of my clients is largely what they pay me for. And my ability to communicate that to them in an effective way that resonates with the leadership of the business and the people in the trenches actually doing the doing, and my ability to help them see around corners so that they don't get bit by something that I've seen at some point in my last 26 years of doing this. And so
Sure.
I wonder where you see the value chain maybe starting to break down from an agency perspective, and where you see over the next 6, 12, 18 months, where you, because I my sense is that if you are not an AI first anything and you work in the tech space, you're probably in trouble. And
Yeah,
you
you're gonna get left behind.
yeah, I've been
Yeah.
using AI every single day for the last 2 years plus, right? Basically since ChatGPT went mainstream, I went cold turkey off of Google search, and I've been using AI tooling ever since. And so it's super interesting to me when I hear certain agencies or consultancies or whatever, especially if they're a little bit older. Like I'm 51, and so I'd like to think I got at least another 20 years in me in this industry. But there's a lot of people that when I talk to them about this stuff, they, even from agency land, they're like, I think I can ride this out I'm going to retire in 5 years, or I'm going to
Yeah.
retire in 10 years. So I don't really think I need to know this stuff. And I'm going to just try to hold on for dear life and hope that AI doesn't take over absolutely everything before I retire. And I feel like
Yeah.
at the pace that everything is moving, at the pace that I've been able to automate things from a back office perspective in my own business, even in the last 6 months, I think that feels like a risky strategy. What's your take?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Me and my partner have this conversation all the time is we have to stay on top of it because yeah, you will get left behind. And there's a lot of tasks that have been taken off our plate. I'll say taken off our plate, which is good, but also it's just a sign that, hey, you need to be able to give value. You yourself need to be able to provide that value to your client that is invaluable. Like you said, you have 26 years of experience. while AI and Claude and whoever you're talking to, your AI bot of choice, they just know what's out there. They know what's out there. They're very analytical, by the
Hmm.
way.
Yes.
They're analytical, they're funny.
And they still hallucinate. And so
Yeah.
that's what I found. Even last night, because my daily use system is Gemini because it integrates with all my G Suite
Mhm.
stuff. But I still find it hallucinating believably an unbelievable amount of the time. And so
Yeah.
I kind of coined this saying, and I'd love your take on it. You not only need to know the questions to ask, but you need to know which answers to question. And
Yes.
and unless you're a domain expert, and I'm probably most worried about juniors that are coming into the industry right now because I
Yep.
think they don't have the domain expertise yet to be able to question the answers that and like
Mhm.
I can look at a response just intuitively immediately know whether it's bullshit or not. Like
Yeah.
I can just
Yeah.
feel it, and I'll ask it to give me a reference or a citing or something like that, and it'll go, "Oh, sorry, I completely made that up," and it's I know you did. It's obvious that you did,
Yeah,
right?
it wants you to like them so bad,
Yes,
you
yes,
know?
yes. It's a
Like,
sycophantic, right?
yeah. So, yeah, definitely as soon as AI came out, I was like, and everyone's, "Oh, they're gonna take your job. They're gonna take your job." I'm like, "They're not because you have unless you don't know the right things to ask, like you said, you need to ask it the right questions and you need to be able to critically still use your critical thinking skills to say, hey, you know what, maybe this isn't the best answer here, let's try a different prompt. Or just it's almost like they're almost like another employee is
Yeah,
kind of how you have to treat them.
they're
Like,
certainly
you have
trying to
to
become
train.
that, aren't they?
Yeah, you have to train them. You have to guide them and ask them the right questions to really have a solid foundation or relationship built with your AI tool. So, yeah, I definitely think we're using it not just as an internal platform, but like I said, it's like another employee, and we're learning how to train it, and because it's a completely new situation here. And yeah, I'm not no spring chicken, I'm still able to get in there and figure some stuff out. But yeah, if you don't know, if you're not, I guess, if you're not willing to get in and learn how to use this tool, you're gonna get left behind. And like you said, those entry level employees or entry level positions, that's what it's going to have to be. Like, if you want to move up in a company, you need to know this tool in and out.
Yeah, yeah, no question about it. I remember back in the day in my agency career when I was hiring people, and people used to put, I remember it, and I've joked about this on the podcast before, but people would put expert Googler on their CV. They would literally put that, and that actually was a skill that had value in the early
Yeah.
days of the internet because your ability to find stuff on the internet
Mhm.
using Google, that was a skill. It wasn't
Yeah.
as refined as it is today, and it certainly wasn't
Right.
as good as the chatbots are today. And so
Right.
certainly I see people putting on their CV expert prompt engineer on their CV today. Now
Yeah.
I suspect that give it another 12, 18, 24 months and they probably won't be putting that on their CV anymore because it'll look just as ridiculous as saying that you're an expert Googler on your CV today. But
Yeah.
are there, and I'll just use one example and then I'd love your take on this. So I use Descript for my podcast. So I use Squadcast to record and then I use Descript to do
Mhm.
the editing. And it's got a whole lot of really great internal AI tooling that's just out of the box. It's plug and play. You can
Cool.
automatically remove ums and ahs. You can automatically remove word gaps. You can automatically do audio cleanup. There's a whole bunch of stuff that you can do that used to take me literally hours in post production, and it can do it
Mhm.
in minutes now. And what used to take me 1 to 2 hours of post production now takes me about 7 minutes end to end in
Yeah.
something like a Descript. Are there tools that are giving you that level of leverage yet? Or do you feel we're still in that middle phase where we're still trying to figure out the best use of AI inside of our companies?
I think we're still trying to figure out the best way to use it. So, hey, you know what? I'm just speaking from experience here, but I know I know everybody wants to be like, "Oh yeah, we got AI down. We got AI down," especially these big
Especially the kid.
agencies. Yeah. And you know what? Maybe they do. And me and my partner were talking, we're like, we almost need that a position or somebody to be the one who is just constantly digging into the newest thing of AI that our team needs to adapt and have them train everybody on it. Cause yeah, it is, it's a lot. And yeah, I think we're still in the middle of how we're gonna fully embrace AI. I know that with the creative, we're going back and forth because it can go either way. We've seen really good AI and we've seen really bad AI. And I think also part of why we have been so successful is that our creative is very authentic and we really pride ourselves on that. Obviously, like we're using and have adapted AI with using like Adobe Firefly and generative fill and things like that. We're actually in the process of learning how to fully harness Claude for AI creative. I think one thing that we really on the creative team struggle with AI in creative or generating content with that is not having the control over it. You'll give it the first prompt, and it'll come up with something. You're like, yeah, we're almost there. But again, it's like having to become that expert prompter. And I've been finding myself going back and forth of asking Claude, what would be the best prompt to get this? And again, just using it like to bounce ideas off of or like that extra employee. But yeah, we're still, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, still fully figuring out how to harness the full capabilities of AI. But yeah, again, going back to if you don't adapt to it, you're gonna get left behind.
Yeah, no question about it. And when your clients come to you for the first time,
Mhm.
are they like what level are they at from a creative perspective, generally speaking? Now, there's obviously
Mhm.
outliers, but are they usually pretty clear on their brand? Are they usually pretty clear on their design guidelines? Are they pretty clear on their positioning, their messaging, their tone, their visuals, their color palettes? Like
Mhm.
how far down this path usually, and I guess how mature, to
Yeah.
use a better umbrella term, how mature are these brands typically when they meet you? Are they like babies or are they like pretty mature and you're just helping to take them to the next level?
Yeah, so we have a definite range there. I would say typically the typical client that we start out with is in kind of that middle range. But what's great about that is that we get to scale them and take them to the next level. You mentioned something before where in the beginning of our podcast about how about getting brands to scaling brands to a certain point where they're like, "Oh, we don't need you guys anymore. We got it from here." We've had clients do that and they end up coming back.
Because
Yeah.
it's
So
oftentimes it's easier and cheaper in many cases to have a fractional resource than it is to have a paid media specialist, an organic
mhm.
specialist, a specialist that only works, for example, with referral partners and influencers, a
Yeah.
single specialist that's dedicated to nothing but email, someone that's dedicated to nothing but scalable creative. You would have to have a team of 5 or 6, most likely, to be able
Mhm.
to cover 100% of that in house. And if you're paying them
Yeah.
all as FTEs, that gets expensive real quick for good people.
Yeah.
And in my experience, especially running and building agencies, that internal resources were our best source of new employees as agencies because we gave them consistently challenging new work. Whereas if you're
Mhm.
an internal resource, like you go deep on a brand, you don't go wide. And so your opportunity to grow in your position, be exposed to new brands, new opportunities, new challenges, new design and branding requirements. If you like it's really hard to grow indefinitely inside of a brand in my experience. And so we just found that oftentimes even if they could build a tech team, say for example, or hire a bunch of developers to develop their back in the day their Magento site or whatever it is, by the time that
Mhm.
project was done, those kind of people do not want to work on BAU. That's not what they want to do. They want to go work on the new sexy shiny thing. And so retention becomes a real difficult problem inside of a brand when you're not constantly doing new shit. And so
Yeah.
that to me feels like it will always be an opportunity for agencies to fill those gaps.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's what kind of makes our agency successful too is there's always something different. There's always a new challenge and work and bringing in these new clients that are at that mid-tier level. It really does give them that challenge of, okay, how can I scale this account to be 300, 500, a million a month, which we've done. What we like about running the agency is being able to see those brands grow and being able to be part of the growth of that brand. So it's satisfying. It's satisfying, makes you feel good inside.
It's fulfilling. There's no question about that. And how do you guys, because one of the biggest challenges we always had when I was running agencies was, how do we bill? Like, do we
Yeah.
bill simply hourly with a margin? Do we bill project based, fixed price? Do we give an estimate and then we bill for actuals in arrears? Do we
Mhm.
try to put them on a retainer, at least post live after a major waterfall project or major implementation? Then do we try to get them on a retainer? Do we
Yeah.
try to subscriptionize things in a way to where it's not a retainer, but there's a cap, a fair use policy applied? It's always a challenge in my experience it's all fine and good for an agency to figure out what they're really good at, to
Yeah.
figure out how to charge for it and monetize it in the best way possible that works for the agency and works for the client. Much harder thing to do. Have you found
It
that to be a
is.
challenge too?
Yeah, we when we first started out with the agency, like obviously we wanted to make money, but we didn't really have like clear profitability goals. And I think again, it's a while ago, we were much younger, and I our goal was like, yeah, we want to get a milk to media yacht. And so it wasn't
And then you
ever
found
like,
out those are $100 million and you went, okay, maybe not. Maybe we're gonna have to
yeah,
scale that back
hey,
a little bit.
hey, anything's possible. It could still happen. Who knows? But I think, yeah, like we didn't have these clear profitability goals and really taking a look at what our expenses are. And as we brought employees on, how much are those employees actually costing us? Not just like in their salary, but in insurance, in
All the benefits.
taxes,
Yeah,
yeah,
everything.
and equipment, in all the little things that add up. At the end of the day, you're like, we're bringing in all this money. Where is it going? You really have to, with a brand, with an agency, with any business, is have that goal and make sure and really keep track of your expenses and have a roadmap on how to get there, how to reach that goal. I think right now we're at a really good place in figuring that out, and especially our friend Claude has helped us out a lot with that, but also not over promising things as well to your clients. I think we do a really good job of being upfront with our clients of, this is what you will get from us, this is what you can expect. We're also very communicative with our clients. So yeah, I think just yeah, you got to get clear on why you're doing this. You want to make money, you can make money, but just have a plan of how to get there. And I think one thing that I always say is, have a plan, but be flexible in how you approach that plan. Because, like we're talking about just with AI, things change, especially in this world, things change every day.
Just like Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, right? So that's the reality. Always go into the ring with a plan, but man, you got to adjust on the fly as an entrepreneur quite often.
Right. Yeah. Some lessons are a little easier learned than others, that's for sure.
Yeah, sometimes it takes more than one being punched in the face to learn some lessons, and those are the most painful ones. But those are the ones that stick with you the longest.
Exactly.
There's a silver lining there. And when you think about pipeline for yourself and for the agency, a lot of agencies, they rely on referrals, they rely on paid marketing themselves, paid and performance marketing,
Mhm.
they rely on network of the founders, they rely on organic content of the founders. What have
Mhm.
you found works best for you guys to, because in now that I'm a consultant and I've been for 6 years, what I have found is that consultants, particularly coming into the B2B e-commerce space, the vast majority of them last maximum 12 months and then they go back to industry. Because what they found was, I can do the work, but I can't keep my pipeline full. And so if I can't keep my pipeline full, I need to just go work for somebody, right? And
Mhm.
so I find the same with agencies. They're going, we can do the work and we're really good at doing the work, but we also have to devote a hell of a lot of time to keeping our own pipeline full so that we have a solid customer acquisition model that's sustainable for us as an agency. So, what have
Yeah.
you found works best for you for attracting new clients like a magnet to your agency?
Yeah, I think going back to what we recommend for our clients of diversifying your channels of advertising. So yeah, we do a good mix of cold email outreach, although that's a whole other conversation you could get into. I feel like it's not as successful as it used to be. I think there's a lot more people cold emailing brands. And I'm sorry if you're listening to this and you get our cold emails, but you would be advised to go with milked media. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, we do a mix of cold email. We obviously are putting out organic content. We treat our organic content. We don't do organic for our clients, but we have kind of the same cadence and same internal process of for milked media as our other clients so that it doesn't get left behind because that was happening. And I think it's easy for any owner to do or any brand business to do is your own marketing gets left behind. It was the last thing on the list, but we've really stepped up and prioritized that this year. And also client referrals. We get a lot of our business from client referrals as well as network. Yeah, our founder network. Like I said, I come from the fashion agency or fashion business and just using those connections. And I was scared at first. I'm like, oh, I don't want to be that person. But you know what? You got to embrace it. You got to get out there as a business owner. It's a hustle no matter what. You own a business, you got to be willing to get out there and put yourself out there. And don't be ashamed of putting yourself out there because I know I'm good at what I do. I'm confident in our team and I'm excited now to have people that I've worked with in the past come to me and I'm able to help them grow their brand in a different way.
Yeah. Embrace the suck, right? Got to do it.
Yeah.
Just have to do it. Have to do it. I think it's really hard today, whether you're a brand, whether you're B2C, D2C, B2B, and whether you're an agency, a consultancy, I think anybody who runs a business today as of mid 2026, I think it's really hard if you are not visible as a founder. Maybe not Elon Musk levels of visibility, but I think that you can still do it. I just think it's hard. I think that
Yeah.
I spend 8 to 10 hours a week on content. And I have done for a decade, right? Even before I
Yeah.
had this business, I was creating content at scale because I knew at some point I was going to need that network. I was going to need that audience if I ever decided to do something on my own again, because I used to own an e-commerce business many years ago. I thought, man, and I knew eventually I would want to do my own thing again at some stage. And I was like, man, you better build audience before you need it, because I tell
Mhm.
you, it's not a light switch that you can turn on overnight. And so it
Yeah.
was like, man, I better build a pretty solid group of people that want to hear from me on a regular basis across lots of different channels. Otherwise, I'm going to be in deep crap
Yeah.
whenever I do want to go independent again. And do you see that as being a challenge for some of your clients where maybe the founder or the owner or the leadership of the business, they're like, nah, we're behind the scenes people. We're the creatives. We do the operational stuff, or we do the finance stuff, or we do whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be a physical face of my brand. And I always kind of wonder about that, because I think then you need to find a business partner that loves being the face of your brand. Otherwise, it
Mhm.
feels, as of 2026, that is going to be a very hard road to hoe if you
Yeah.
have no one that's prepared to be the face of the business. If you want to be nameless, faceless brand, you're kind of
Yeah.
screwed.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said before, we really see the most success with the brands whose owners step up and show their face in their content and just are like establish themselves in their community. I get not wanting to be up front and center, but I think there's a lot that can be said in the amount of trust that people have when you do show up. I struggle with my personal content, but the milked media content I will always show up for. Again, it's something that I can confidently speak about. But yeah, and I'm behind the computer. I don't even know how many hours a week. So it's like the last thing I want to do is get up and do it again. And this time, make sure and at least look good from the waist up, right?
Yeah.
work
You're like,
from
I might be
home
naked on
life.
the bottom, but I'm all business on top.
I do have sweatpants on,
Okay, great,
okay?
great, great. That's a
But
win.
professional from the waist up. That's all that matters. But yeah, so it is hard. But yeah, if you want to be a successful brand, you want to be a successful business, you have to show up for your business. If you don't want to show up for your business, why would anybody else want to?
Yeah.
That's what I always say. It's like, why even do it? And while you may have a strength in something else behind the scenes, it's a learned skill, or you can always hire somebody to help you do that. The social media managers, the kids love that. The girls love that.
Yeah.
They love being the social media managers and content and creating the organic content. So, yeah, I think it's very important for the founders to show up or designate one person to be the face or to show up for the brand.
And what's, if you were to look out 6, 12, 18 months, what's next for Milked Media, the creative agency? What do you want to do? If you were to paint this perfect picture and you could snap your fingers and have the perfect picture in 6, 12, 18 months,
Yacht. No, I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
yeah, that's still on the vision board. I get that. Totally on board with the yacht. And you can invite me out to join you on the yacht once you get it. And
Sure.
we'll have I'll join your team party out on the yacht. But in the maybe slightly more near term,
Yeah.
what's some of your goals? What are some of your BHAGs for Milk to Media?
Yeah, we didn't really talk about this, but we did win the 2025 Meta Award for Best Campaign by a boutique agency. And that was really exciting. And I think that kind of gave us a bug to start entering ourselves into more awards and really put ourselves out there for more accolades. So I think that's what we're gaining towards is more awards.
Yeah, I tell you, that is something to shoot for because yeah, a lot of agencies, they struggle to. I am the MC for the B2B e-commerce world events, and which are hosted by B2B Commerce Association. And as of last year, we started to put on the B2B e-commerce world awards, and
Mhm.
they're all about businesses, agencies, all in the B2B e-commerce space, even platform vendors, etc., putting themselves forward to be in all these different categories of awards. And
Yeah.
man, that first year, it was so hard. It was like pulling hen's teeth to get people to even enter the
Mm.
awards. This year, lots easier because I tell you, last year, because we had a full black tie awards gala dinner and full awards presentation ceremony, they got trophies. The individual contributors got trophies. The companies got trophies, and everybody was like, "Wow, okay." This is serious. They went all out to help put us in the spotlight as
Yeah.
people doing great work in our industry. Now, in the retail world, getting people to join awards is easy, right? They look at it as
Yeah.
free earned media.
Yeah.
They're like, "Hey, our brand's going to be up on stage. Awesome. And it's going to be perfect audio. Awesome. It's going to be perfect video. Awesome. It's earned media we don't even have to pay for. Enter all of it," right? Whereas in B2B, because it's mostly B2B, it's belly to belly selling and it's relationship based selling and it's 20-year relationships in the B2B world quite often, as opposed to a one-off sale to a customer, a two-off sale to a customer. And so it's really interesting that you say that because I think agencies struggle with that just as much as B2B product suppliers struggle with. It's kind of like doctors following their own advice. They oftentimes do not, right? And so I think putting your brand out there makes a hell of a lot of sense. And
Yeah, for
eating your
sure.
own dog food, so to speak.
Yeah, I think it not only builds credibility for your agency, but it also boosts morale. I
Yeah.
mean, it was really exciting for our team and everybody that worked on that campaign. And I think even if they didn't work on that campaign or that wasn't their client, they were just super stoked that, hey, I'm working for a real agency now, and gave that morale boost to the team. But yeah, I think what kind of I think what the goal with the awards too for me is getting to the Lions. That would be like the ultimate
Yep.
award. I was able to go and attend the Lions one year, and as the agency grew, I was like, and as the talk of applying for more of these awards, I was like, that might be my new goal is the Lions.
Okay, so Cannes Lions Yacht, super yacht. Those are two serious BHAGs. I like that. I like that. Totally achievable, totally reasonable. I
Yeah,
think that we all have to have. Even Gary Vee wants to buy the jet someday. So we've all got to have goals, right? Absolutely.
right.
If you could change, you sprinkle fairy dust on the e-commerce industry writ large
Mhm.
and change one thing about it at the snap of your fingers, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a tough question. Making it more visually appealing.
Are you saying that there's too many ugly websites out there?
There's a lot of, I'll call them unbranded
Okay,
websites.
unappealing. Yeah, not ugly, unappealing, right? Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough, fair
Yeah,
enough.
I think, yeah, having brands realize more why they need to invest in these channels of marketing. Okay, back in my day, if you wanted to have a successful fashion brand or anything along those lines, you would create the product. You'd shoot the product. You'd have a great lookbook. You'd take it to market. You'd go to these amazing conventions and shows
Or
in
you do
Las
a trunk show,
Vegas.
right? Like I remember
Yeah,
the trunk show days.
yeah, exactly. And you'd maybe get featured in an editorial. And that was how you would build your brand, right? Or you'd get it on a celebrity. And
Yep.
now that's I don't even know if half of that still exists, but I feel like the actual production of a product is such a small part of owning a business these days, or owning one of these brands. Is there's a lot of moving parts, but you have to be able, like, you need to be able to invest. If that's your passion, you need to invest in your passion. You need to be willing to invest in your passion.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. No question about it. Best way to get a hold of you, I'll drop a link to your LinkedIn profile and your website in the show notes. Other than that, if people want to reach out and chat to you about all things brand and digital marketing, best way to get a hold of you.
You can email us at hello@milkedmedia.com.
Wow, that's an easy one. That's super easy to remember.
Yeah, I would throw out my name, my personal email, but my it's just too long. It's too hard for some people to spell. So that's just the easiest one. And me and Krista see all of those emails. So they're easiest for us to field to the right associate.
I will dump your LinkedIn in the show notes anyway. So if they
Right.
really want to get a hold of you, they can DM you and ask you a whole bunch of questions in your DMs. Nothing dodgy there.
Yeah,
Remember, it's LinkedIn here, all professional.
very perfect.
But listen, as we come down to the end of our time together, it's been a fascinating conversation. Really appreciate the open kimono approach to our discussion and you sharing from the trenches of exactly what it's like to grow an agency from nothing through COVID and beyond and to reach the heights that you have. But now this is where I get to turn the microphone over to you. I get to let you ask me one question, any question you like. It can be personal or professional. So, Nicolette McIntyre from Milked Media, what is your question for me today?
Oh my gosh, you're really putting me on the spot. Uh
Has to be done. Has to be done.
What's been your struggle with showing up and continuing with your podcast? I know it can't be easy, and I think a lot of people fall off when they don't see that immediate success. So, what's been your drive or your secret to success to push beyond that?
I like to hear myself talk. No, but seriously, look, I just didn't give myself any other choice. I built it into my weekly cadence, my weekly schedule. I just built it in. I just looked at it as just another thing I have to do. It's just beautiful that I love to do it as well. If I hated doing it, it would be difficult to stick with it. But I love talking to people like you, experts that are experts in things that I'm not an expert in, at least yet. And I also think that the goal behind doing something and your intent matters. So for me, my number one goal, there's two top goals that have nothing to do with the metrics around the performance of a podcast. The first one is I really have to be learning something. So when I talk to people, my number one goal is, can I learn something? In an hour, can I learn something that will also be beneficial to my audience at the same time? Will it be entertaining? Will it be enjoyable? Will it be educational? Will it tick all those boxes for me and my audience? Then yes. And then the second piece for me is, do I actually have fun doing that thing? Finally, for me, this is a love letter back to an industry that has given me a life that I could have only dreamt about 26 years ago. So for me, this is probably more about sending the ladder back down again than anything else, right? Okay, it's great. Maybe somebody finds out about my business through the podcast. Maybe I occasionally win a client or have some more credibility with a potential client because of a podcast, but that is so far down the priority list of what I get out of doing a podcast that it just doesn't, the results, the pure results, the likes, the follows, the shares, all that stuff is great, but that is not even in the top 5 of why I do this. And so because of that, it makes it very easy to keep going. But I will tell you, pod fade is a thing. And something like 98% of podcasts never get past episode 20.
Yeah.
So within the next 3 weeks, I'll be at episode 700. And so it feels pretty good to be one of the few in the top 0.00001% of podcasters that ever get to even 100, let alone 700. And yeah, there is a little bit of, hey, I've put this much work into it. Why would I stop now? It makes no
Sure.
sense to put that much effort into it and stop now. But that's like, it really is. This industry has been so good to me. It allowed me to pay cash for this house that we live in, my wife and I. And it allowed
Yeah.
me to have zero debt in my life. I have more freedom now than I've ever had in my life. I don't believe in owing people money. I really hate it. I really hate debt. I've always had a paranoid aversion to debt, and this industry has allowed me to live debt free. And I really love that. And I love the freedom to travel because with a laptop and an internet connection, I can do everything that I do. And
Yeah.
that is a very special place to be that a lot of people want to get to, and they're working towards that North Star goal. I've been able to achieve that through this industry and the amazing people in it. So there's a lot of gratitude behind content for me. And that's probably the
Yeah.
single biggest motivator.
Yeah. Give back to the community a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. I remember when I first started out in this industry 26 years ago, there was a whole group of people that took me under their wing, taught me everything they knew, and didn't expect anything in return. They just shared openly everything they knew and everything they had learned from the industry in the prior decade before that. And so I just think, look, you got to pay it forward, man. If you
Yeah.
want the next generation of leaders in our industry to be good leaders, and if you want them to be doing good things with good intent, then teach them. Teach them how to do
Yeah.
that and teach them the benefits of doing that. And that's what I feel. I like to think I have plenty more years ahead of me of actually doing the doing too, but I feel an intense responsibility to help the next generation of leaders in our industry do a good job.
Nice.
So it
Yeah.
feels good. It feels good.
Yeah.
And it does something for your ego a little bit too. Like when people say, hey, you were able to change my life. Like I do a lot of mentorship. I do a lot of free mentorship as well. And I've had people say, look, you completely changed. You helped to change. I said, you did it. I maybe shared some ideas with you, but you had to execute. You had to do the thing, right? I just told
Right.
you how to do the thing or shared with you some ideas of maybe how you could do the thing, but you went and did the thing. And you've got staff, so you know exactly how that feels when people do a really great job and they feel proud of something that they've done and something they've achieved in their life. It is immensely fulfilling, regardless of the
Yeah.
money side of the business. It's incredibly fulfilling.
Definitely.
But anyway, look, it's been fabulous chatting with you today. I really appreciate your time, and I wish you every
Yeah.
continuing success with Milk to Media there in
Thank
Costa
you.
Mesa. And I can't wait to speak to you again soon. So thank you so much for your time.
Yeah. Thanks, Jason.
Are you a B2B or D2C e-commerce merchant? Then head over to greenwoodconsulting.net to learn how we can help you scale your business.